I found the shrine behind the water tank. The jungle had almost swallowed it whole. Vines choked the little wooden house. The roof was rotting green. I pushed the wet leaves aside with my cane. My hands were shaking. Not from age this time. From fear. Inside, the spirit house was a picture. It was a passport photo of me. My face was pale and confused. Someone had pushed rusty sewing needles through my eyes. They had pushed one through my mouth. A dead gecko lay curled next to it. The smell of stale incense and jungle rot made me gag. I stood there in the mud. The monkeys screamed in the trees above me. They sounded like laughing children. I was 75 years old. I was a man of charity, a man of God, and I was standing in a black magic trap on an island that had forgotten its name. I turned to run, but my bad leg gave way. I fell into the dirt. I lay there and listened to the insects. They knew I did not belong here. They knew I was meat. I met Lemon in a pharmacy in Pattaya 3 months ago. I was trying to buy heart medication. The pharmacist did not speak English. I was shouting. I was panicking. My chest felt tight. Lemon stepped out of the line. She was small and brown. She wore a faded t-shirt and jeans. She did not look like the girls in the bars. She looked tired. She looked like a mother. She spoke to the pharmacist in rapid Thai. She pointed at my empty bottle. She got me the pills. She even haggled the price down. I tried to give her money. She refused. She smiled and told me to take care of my heart. I bought her lunch instead. We sat in a small noodle shop. The fans spun lazily overhead. I told her my story. I told her I was a widower. I told her I came to Thailand to help the stray dogs. I had a fund, donations from my church back home, thousands of dollars meant for medicine and food. Lemon listened. She nodded. She told me she loved dogs. She told me she used to be a dancer, but she retired years ago. She said the nightlife was bad karma. She wanted to make merit. She wanted to live a simple life. I felt safe with her. She did not touch my arm. She did not call me handsome man. She called me uncle. It felt respectful. It felt like family. I became helpless without her. It happened slowly. First, she helped me with the laundry. Then, she helped me with the bank. Then, she helped me with my visa. I could not read the signs. I could not speak the language. Thailand was a wall of noise and confusion. Lemon was the door. She moved into my hotel room. Separate beds. Purely platonic. I paid for her food. I paid for her clothes. It was a small price for a guide. She handled the money. I gave her the envelope from the charity. She kept the receipts. Or she said she did. One night she told me about a piece of land on Koh Chang, an island near the border. She said it was cheap. We could build a shelter there, a sanctuary for the dogs. We could live there and do God's work. I looked at her kind face. I saw the daughter I never had. I saw a chance to leave a legacy. I told her to buy the tickets. The journey to Koh Chang was hard. The ferry rocked in the gray swell. The minivan drove too fast over the mountains. My stomach churned. Lemon held my hand. She told me to breathe. We arrived at Lonely Beach. It was not a beach. It was a rocky scar on the edge of the jungle. The backpackers here looked rough. They had tattoos on their faces. They smoked things that smelled like burning plastic. We rented a bungalow. It was a wooden box on stilts. The roof leaked. The mattress smelled of mold. Lemon said it was temporary. She said the land for the shelter was nearby. We just had to wait for the papers. I waited. The heat was suffocating. The air was so wet you could drink it. I sat on the porch and swatted mosquitoes. Lemon went out every day. She said she was meeting the land office. She said she was meeting the village headman. She started asking for more money. Fees for the stamps. Tea money for the officials. I went to the ATM with her. I let her press the buttons. I could not see the screen without my glasses. I trusted her. Then the change started. Lemon stopped eating. Her eyes grew wide and dark. She ground her teeth while she slept. She would disappear for hours at night. She would come back smelling of smoke and sweat. I asked her if she was sick. She snapped at me. She told me to shut up. She told me I was a stupid old man. I was shocked. She had never raised her voice before. She apologized later. She cried. She said the stress of the land deal was too much. She said she needed medicine. I gave her money for the doctor. She took it and ran into the jungle. I sat alone in the bungalow. I watched the geckos hunt moths on the ceiling. I checked the charity account online. The balance was dropping fast. Withdrawals at 2 a.m. Withdrawals at 4 a.m. I told myself it was for the land. I told myself it was for the dogs. The alternative was too terrible to think about. The trap closed on a Tuesday. It was raining hard. The rain on the tin roof sounded like bullets. Lemon came back at dawn. She was soaking wet. Her hair was plastered to her skull. She was shaking. She looked wild. She did not apologize this time. She demanded the card. She said the landowner was here. He wanted the final payment. 50,000 baht. Cash. Now. I looked at her. I saw the sores on her arms. I saw the black hollows under her eyes. "Where is the contract?" I asked. My voice was weak. She screamed. She threw a plastic chair across the room. It hit the wall with a crack. "Give me money," she shrieked. "You farang cheap. You have plenty money for dogs. Give to me." She grabbed my bag. She tore it open. My heart medication spilled on the floor. My passport fell out. I tried to stop her. She pushed me. I fell onto the bed. She was strong, stronger than a retired dancer should be. She found the emergency cash, the stash I kept in my socks. $200. She grabbed it. She looked at it with hunger. Not greed, hunger. "Not enough," she hissed. "Need more." She paced the room. She was scratching her neck. She was talking to herself in Thai. Then she stopped. She looked at me. Her eyes were empty holes. "You sign," she said. "You sign paper today, or I leave you here. I leave you to die in jungle." She pulled a crumpled paper from her pocket. It was all in Thai. There were no stamps, no official seals, just a block of text and a line for a signature. "What is this?" I asked. "Land," she lied. She did not even try to make it sound true. "You sign. I get money from bank." I realized then. There was no land. There was no shelter. There was only the drug, the yaba, the crazy medicine. It had eaten her brain. Now it wanted to eat my life. I looked at the door. It was open. The rain was pouring down. "I need to go to the toilet," I said. She laughed. It was a jagged sound. "You go. You old baby. You go." I grabbed my cane. I stepped out into the rain. I did not go to the toilet. I went behind the water tank. I tried to hide. That was when I found the shrine. That was when I saw the needles in my eyes. She had cursed me. She had pinned my soul to this rotting island. I heard her shouting my name from the bungalow. "Eli, where you go?" She was coming. I could hear her boots on the wooden walkway. I was an old man in a jungle. I had no language. I had no friends. I had a bad heart and a cane, and the woman I trusted was hunting me down for a fix. I did not run. I scrambled. I crawled through the mud like a wounded crab. The jungle tore at my clothes. The rain washed the sweat from my eyes, but the fear stayed cold in my chest. I heard Lemon screaming. She was throwing things inside the bungalow, the crash of breaking glass, the thud of wood. She was destroying the world we had built. I made it to the beach road. It was deserted. The shops were shuttered against the storm. I needed a place to hide. I saw a stack of beach chairs under a blue plastic tarp near a closed bar. I squeezed myself into the gap. The canvas smelled of mildew and stale beer. The mosquitoes were waiting. They descended on me in a cloud. I swatted them with trembling hands. My bad leg throbbed. I curled into a ball on the cold sand. I was a sponsor. I was a man who gave. Now I was hiding under a tarp like a stray dog. I lay there for hours, Every motorcycle that passed made my heart stop. I expected to see Lemon's face. I expected to see the madness in her eyes. I prayed. I prayed for the first time in years. Not for the dogs, not for the mission. I prayed for morning. Dawn broke gray and wet. The rain stopped, but the air was heavy. I crawled out from under the tarp. My joints were rusted shut. I stood up and almost fell. I was covered in mud. My insect bites were swollen red welts. I needed help. I needed the police. I walked toward the main road. The backpackers were waking up. They rode past on scooters. They looked at me with disgust. They saw a dirty old man, a relic, a warning. I found a small police box near the pier. A young officer sat inside playing on his phone. I knocked on the glass. He slid the window open. He looked at my mud-stained shirt. He frowned. "Help," I rasped. "Woman. Drugs. She steal money." He stared at me. He did not understand. "Money," I said louder. I mimed theft. "Steal. Thief." He shook his head. "No speak English." "She has drugs," I tried again. "Yaba. Dangerous." The word yaba made him blink. But then he looked at my shaking hands. He looked at my red eyes. He smelled the stale sweat on me. He laughed. He thought I was the one on drugs. Or maybe just drunk. "You go sleep," he said. He pointed down the road. "You go hotel." He slid the window shut. I stood there. I banged on the glass once. He ignored me. The language barrier was not just a wall. It was a cage. I was screaming in a vacuum. I walked aimlessly. I was hungry. My stomach cramped. I checked my pockets. Empty. Lemon had taken the cash. She had my bag with my passport. All I had was my phone in my shirt pocket. I sat on a curb outside a closed massage shop. I pulled out the phone. 20% battery. I could call the embassy. I could call the bank. I unlocked the screen. A shadow fell over me. I looked up. Lemon stood there. She was not screaming now. She was worse. She was calm. A terrifying, chemical calm. Her eyes were pinned. Her skin was gray. She wore a rain poncho that looked like a garbage bag. She held a rock in her hand. "Give me," she said. She did not mean the money. She meant the phone, the last lifeline, the last connection to Eli, the sponsor. I clutched it to my chest. "No," I whispered. "Please, Lemon. Let me go." She did not argue. She did not negotiate. The yaba had burned away her patience. She swung the rock. Not at my head, at my hand. Pain exploded in my fingers. I cried out. The phone clattered to the concrete. She picked it up. She checked the screen. She smiled. It was a smile of pure utility. The phone was access. The phone was transfer codes. The phone was a few more days of smoke. "You go home now," she said softly. "You make merit." She turned and walked away. She walked with a bounce in her step, like a girl going to school. I sat on the curb. I cradled my broken hand. I watched her disappear into the crowd of tourists. She took my identity. She took the dog's money. She took the last shred of my dignity. I was alone on Ko Chang. No ID, no cash, no voice. The first night on the street was the hardest. The shame was a physical weight. I slept on a bench near the pier. A dog came and slept next to me. It was mangy and thin. It had ticks on its ears. I petted it with my good hand. It licked my wrist. "I'm sorry," I told it. "I meant to help you." The dog didn't care about my intentions. It just wanted warmth. We huddled together, two strays in the dark. Days turned into a week. The hunger became a dull ache. The pain in my hand faded to a stiff throb. I learned the geography of the bottom. I learned which restaurants threw away bread. I learned which tourists would give a coin and which would look away. I became part of the landscape, the crazy old farang, the ghost of Lonely Beach. 2 weeks later, I found my spot. It was outside the 7-Eleven on the main strip. The spot with the best light. The spot where the air conditioning blasted out every time the automatic doors opened. A blast of cold, clean air. A memory of civilization. I sat on a piece of cardboard. I had a plastic cup from a coffee shop. I put a few baht coins in it to make a sound. Clink, clink. People walked by. Young couples in love, backpackers with sunburns, old men with young Thai girlfriends. I watched the old men. I saw the way they looked at the girls. The pride, the delusion. They thought they were kings. They thought they were sponsors. I wanted to warn them. I wanted to grab their legs and shout, check her eyes, check the bank account, don't go to the island. But I said nothing. I just shook my cup. One evening, a young woman walked out of the store. She held a bag of dog food. She was feeding the stray that slept near the door. My stray. She looked at me. She had kind eyes. American, maybe. Or British. She reached into her pocket. She pulled out a 20 baht note. She dropped it in my cup. Buy some food, she said gently. I looked up at her. I wanted to tell her I used to be like her. I used to be the one giving. I used to be Eli. But the words wouldn't come. My throat was dry. My English felt rusty, like a machine left in the rain. Thank you, I croaked. She smiled and walked away. I looked at the green note in the cup. It was enough for water, maybe a bun. The automatic doors whooshed open. The cold air hit my face. I closed my eyes. For a second, I wasn't a beggar on a dirty island. I was back in my church hall. The air conditioning was humming. The people were singing. I was safe. Then the doors closed. The heat returned. The smell of exhaust and frying pork filled my nose. I picked up the coin. I shook the cup. Clink, clink. This was my station now. This was my charity. I waited for the next customer.